Female cheaters always leave clues. Why men miss them. Cheating doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It's not thunder, it's not fire, it's steam, rising slowly, until the mirror fogs, and you can't see yourself anymore. She didn't scream, she didn't confess, but she left signs in how she stopped laughing from her belly, in how she said, "I'm fine," without looking up, in how her phone stopped facing you and started facing the wall. You saw it, but you convinced yourself it was nothing. You explained it away, because you loved her more than you trusted your own gut. This isn't a video about suspicion, it's a video about awareness. Because when a woman cheats, she always leaves behind clues. Most men just miss them, not because they're weak, but because they were trying to be loyal in a world that was already lying. Let's talk about those signs before they turn into regrets. But sometimes the clues aren't loud, they're quiet. And the first one, it starts before she ever leaves. It doesn't start with her leaving, it starts with her fading. She's still there. She still brews the coffee, folds the laundry, answers your questions. She still says, "Good morning," still kisses you goodnight. But what once felt warm now feels like routine, mechanical, predictable, distant. There's no fight, no drama, no slammed doors, just a subtle shift. Her voice sounds thinner. Her eyes don't linger like they used to. When she touches your arm, it feels like she's remembering to, not like she wants to. She tells you she's tired, that it's work, that she needs some time. But you've heard these words before. And this time, something's different. You crack a joke, she laughs. But the kind of laugh you give a stranger in an elevator, polite, not present. You used to feel her soul when she smiled. Now, you get the surface and nothing more, and you start doubting yourself. Maybe you're imagining it, maybe you're reading too much into things, but a part of you, a deep, old, masculine part, knows you're not insecure, you're not needy, you're alert, and what you're sensing is disconnection, not the kind that explodes, the kind that evaporates. She's still showing up, but emotionally, she's rationing herself, giving you just enough presence to avoid suspicion, just enough affection to keep things normal, but not enough to feel loved. This is how it begins, not with cheating in the physical sense, but with neglect in the emotional one. And if you stay quiet, if you keep doubting your instincts, you'll end up a stranger in your own relationship. She didn't leave, but she's not here anymore either. She's just somewhere else. And when that warmth fades, the next thing to go isn't her body, it's her openness. That's when she starts hiding in plain sight. It's not what she says that alarms you, it's what she doesn't. She used to share everything, the little things, what she dreamed last night, what annoyed her at work, what she had for lunch. You were inside her world, invited, welcomed, included. Now, there are blank spaces. She still talks, but only when it's safe, only when the details are light, neutral, filtered. You ask how her day was. She says, "It was fine." No follow-up, no story, no spark. And then there's the phone. It used to sit face up on the kitchen table. Now it's glued to her hand, screen down, notifications silenced. You didn't ask for her password. You didn't snoop, but something in. Her posture already says, "Don't look." When she types, the screen tilts slightly away. When it pings, she glances fast and replies faster. You're not imagining it. You're observing it, and when you ask, even gently, she bristles. You're being paranoid. You don't trust me. You're too controlling. But here's what stoic men know. Trust isn't afraid of observation. Transparency doesn't need permission. When love is healthy, there's no need for hiding. No need to spin the truth or keep small secrets. No need to act like your curiosity is an attack. She wasn't always like this. She used to be open, available, present. Now she's cautious, calculated, and that change, it's Not growth, it's concealment, and concealment always has a reason. Infidelity rarely begins with a kiss. It begins with one locked screen, one filtered answer, one missing piece in a puzzle you used to know by heart. If her world suddenly feels private, it's not because you've overstepped, it's because she's already stepping away. But emotional distance doesn't stop at conversation. It follows you into the bedroom where her body remains, but her presence doesn't. You still sleep in the same bed, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. The mattress is the same. The sheets still smell like lavender, but between the two of you is something invisible, a distance you can't name, but you can feel. Some nights, she turns away before you even turn off the light. Other nights, she reaches for you, quick, almost robotic, like she's checking off a box. The touch is there, but the warmth is missing. She's in your arms, but she's not with you. And here's the part that makes you question everything. When she initiates, it feels off. Too intense, too fast, too rehearsed, like she's trying to prove something, or worse, trying to hide something. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering which is more painful, the silence or the performance. Here's what most men don't say out loud. When a woman starts giving her emotional energy elsewhere, her intimacy with you will always change, not because she's cruel, but because she's already divided. And presence cannot be duplicated. Sex, when real, is a conversation, a language of trust, safety, connection. When that connection breaks, the whole language breaks with it. You begin to feel it in your body, that something's off, that the rhythm is gone, that your presence is being tolerated, not invited. And when you bring it up, she says, "You're overthinking. I'm just tired. You're too sensitive, but you're not. You're reading the emotional text between the lines. You're paying attention because you know a woman can't share her body with you, while her soul belongs somewhere else. And the longer you pretend the intimacy is real, the more you betray your own intuition to protect her comfort. That's not love. That's self-abandonment. And the man who honors his worth knows when he's being touched but not held. And as the intimacy fades, something else rises to take its place. Conflict. Sudden. Illogical. Loud. But it's not what it seems. At first it seems small. You forget to text her back during lunch. Now you don't care. You leave your socks on the floor. Now you never listen. You give a short reply. Now she's questioning your tone, your mood, your heart, and you're confused. You replay the conversation. You ask yourself, did I miss something? You start apologizing for things that never felt wrong, but deep down, you feel it. This isn't about the socks, or the text, or the tone. It's displacement. She's not fighting with you. She's fighting with herself. See, when a woman starts emotionally crossing a line, she needs distance to justify it, and the easiest way to create that distance is conflict, because if you're the problem, if you are insensitive, forgetful, careless, then she's not betraying you. She's protecting herself. This is the most dangerous game. She rewrites the story, so her guilt becomes your burden. Her betrayal becomes your failure. Her exit becomes self-care, and if you're not careful, you'll spend weeks, maybe months, trying to fix something that was never broken. You'll twist yourself into shapes she no longer wants. You'll walk on eggshells in the very home you helped build. But here's what a grounded man knows. Not all conflict is communication. Sometimes it's camouflage. She's not opening up. She's deflecting, turning the spotlight from her choices onto your character. And if you tried to win the argument, you've already lost the game, because this was never about understanding. It was about escaping, and she needed a villain to make her exit feel justified. But you weren't born to carry another person's guilt, so stop shrinking to fit her narrative. Stop bleeding for a story that isn't yours. Stand up. Step back and remember, you don't need to explain your worth to someone rewriting history to quiet their own conscience, and once the blame is placed on you, she's free to quietly walk away from the future you once imagined together. There was a time she spoke in we. We should go to Italy next spring. We could get a dog when things settle. We'll grow old on that porch together. Now it's, I've been thinking of moving. I might take a trip. Alone. I just need to figure myself out. Your name, it's disappearing from her future, not with a bang, but with soft edits. And when you ask, she says you're being dramatic, that she's just trying to grow, that she still loves you. She's just focusing on herself. But here's the hard truth. She's been emotionally relocating. Long before she told you, she's been building a life in her mind, and you're not in the floor plan. This is the part most men miss. She doesn't need to yell to leave. She doesn't even need to walk out the door. She just has to stop inviting you in. Stop imagining you in her tomorrow. Stop planning with us in mind. And every time she says, I just need space, it's not a request, it's a rehearsal. She's practicing life without you, piece by piece, plan by plan, until one day you wake up next to her and realize she's already gone. Her hugs feel robotic. Her eyes dodge yours. Her affection feels rationed, like something you have to earn again. But the worst part, she's not confused. She's preparing, and if you don't see it for what it is, you'll keep chasing the ghost of who she used to be while she quietly writes you out of the story. But a man with self-respect doesn't beg to stay in a future he was never invited into. He recognizes the silence, he feels the distance, and he doesn't plead. He lets go, not because he wants to, but because dignity doesn't fight to stay where love has already left. And when a man finally sees that he's no longer part of her tomorrow, he faces the question, do I keep guessing, or do I start listening to my gut? If this video stirred something in your chest, not anger but recognition, then you already knew. You just didn't want to believe it, and that doesn't make you weak. It makes you loyal. It makes you human. Most men don't talk about this. We're taught to man up, to brush it off, to not take it personally. But when a woman starts pulling away, when she edits you out of her story, you feel it. Not just in your mind, but in your body, your breath, your bones. You were never crazy. You were connected. You paid attention to what didn't add up, and that is strength. So if you've ever stayed quiet while your heart was sounding alarms, this is your space to be seen. Comment below. I saw the clues. This time, I listened. Let that be your line in the sand. Not to blame her, not to replay the past, but to reclaim your voice, because clarity isn't cold, it's clean, and peace doesn't come from answers. It comes from choosing yourself, even when someone else already stopped. And if you've ever ignored the signs to protect the love, then this last part is for you. Not to look back, but to rise. She didn't slam the door. She didn't curse your name. She didn't walk out yelling. She just stopped showing up bit by bit, until one day you realized you were sleeping beside someone who had already left. No betrayal begins in the bedroom. It starts long before, in the way she stops sharing her thoughts, in how her laugh becomes polite, in how the we slowly turns into me. And if you're like most men, you didn't miss the signs, you just ignored them, because you hoped love could outlast disconnection, because you wanted to believe the best of her, because you thought being patient was being strong. But strength isn't waiting for someone who's already gone. Strength is knowing when you need to leave, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You can't heal in a space where you're shrinking. You can't find peace where you're being rationed affection. And you can't lead a life of dignity while begging for breadcrumbs of closeness. So if this is where you are now, in the in-between, don't chase, don't explain, don't fight for clarity she refuses to give. Instead, breathe, Choose presence over pain, choose truth over illusion, and choose yourself, not as revenge, but as recovery, because a man who reclaims his worth doesn't need closure from the one who hurt him. His clarity is the closure, and his next chapter isn't about her. It's about coming home to himself.